So it's that time of year now. It's that time of year where everybody want to make a Myleague. Everybody want to make a Myleague. Well, this is the Myleague tutorial, NBA 2K25. This is how y'all create a Myleague. If you're new to this, I'm going to show y'all step by step how to make it. A little bit about me. This is your boy B Hayes, aka Adman B Hayes. I've been running Myleague since 2K21. And we about to start back up. Just hoop, no excuse. We about to start back up. So I thought I'd do my due diligence and bring y'all a tutorial on how to create a Myleague for y'all out there who want to create one. Y'all tired of joining these leagues that be dying within 5 days, 3 days. They don't last longer than one season. And y'all want to create one. This is how you create it. Start a new file. Myleague/MyNBA. You can pick whatever era you want to pick. I am picking the modern era course. This is the setup for it. I like to go in, doing fantasy draft, custom rules, custom rosters, all that good stuff is on. Go down to budget and finances. I'm leaving that how it is. We're doing start at the regular season. You want to start an off season, you can go through and toggle that on. I'm just showing you the settings that I use that work best for me, that I've been using for 3-4 years on 2K. And you can go in here to events, CBA rules, and dead cap is when you release players. If you lose that cap, stipend rule is if you can't trade a draft pick back-to-back years, 36 days. All these rules are rules that really can mess up your league. So I'll show you what I put on for my league. I just go through and I take off the stepping rule, take off the 30-day 90 rule, because if you have these on, it'll be harder to trade. And if you do an online league, that's one of the biggest perks of an online league is trading. So take those off. Trade finances, that's basically, if that's on, then you got to worry about the salary cap matching up for a player to player. If it's off, then you don't have to. You can just trade one player that's maybe making $3 million. You can trade him for a player that's making $30 million. It'll be an even swap. Trade finances, if that's on, then you got to match up the salaries. So both team is not overwhelmed with salary cap. So I'll leave that on. Restricted free agents, I leave that on. That's obvious. And then waiver rules, leave that on. On to the next. If you want to do an online league, you can click that on. If you don't, keep it off. For offline league, NBA Cup, which is new to 2K25. That's the NBA Cup, obviously. So leave that on and turn it off however you want to do there. Role-playing elements. This is self-explanatory. Role-playing elements there, you can leave that. You can click whatever you want on there. I'm just going to leave everything how it is. FIBA tournament, which is new. The league will be included in the FIBA tournament. Okay. That's decent. But I'm going to toggle it off. So those are my settings, my base setups. You can pause it, slow it down, however you want to do it and look at it. The biggest thing on here is a stipend rule. You want to make sure that is off, and the 30, 60, 90-day rule is off. If the 30, 60, 90-day rule is on, you trade a player one time and you can't trade them basically the rest of the whole season. So that can really break a league. And the stipend rule is you can't trade first round picks or in back-to-back years. So that can break a league also. So I just always turn those off and move to the next step here. So whatever roster you want to use, you can use the official 2K roster, created roster that you have, or injury-free roster. I always go with the injury-free roster. The injury-free roster, nobody will be injured. You go with official 2K roster, people will still be injured, and you'd have to fix that after the season started. But I always go injury-free because it's the most updated roster from 2K, and then everybody's healthy. So I always go injury-free. And if you want to change the conferences around, move teams from Eastern or Western, if you want to add new teams, you can do what you like there. I keep it basic, keep it base, advanced stat. Then we got the settings here. This is the nitty gritty settings. So auto save, that's only going to be for offline. So if you want to toggle that on or off, I usually keep it off. Season length, obviously, I usually do 6 minutes here. Sam quarters, I usually do 10. Those I leave the same. Draft prospects, storylines, I'm just leaving all that the same. Now here for fantasy draft, if you want to set the draft order, you can put it on and you can actually go through and move the teams to where you want to move it. Serpent is the most common way to do a draft, a fantasy draft. That's when you go from 1 to 30 and then 30 picks again and then team 29 picks and 28. If you do fixed, and that is going to be first pick will get the first pick every round. So whoever got the number 1 pick, let's say the Celtics got the number 1 pick, first round, they'll get the number 1 pick. Second round, third round, fourth round, and so on. It'll be fixed. Serpent is the most common. Serpent is the most fair. So moving on, you can change the playoff length here if you want to change it to best of 3, 5, however you want to do it. I keep it to the basic settings. Off season, this is just the off season timers and things of that nature. If you want to change any of that, I just keep that the same. Turn G League off so you don't have created players. For World Tool, which is new. That's actually funny. I'm gonna keep that on. Staff abilities, keep it on. Progression fatigue, we'll keep that on and all that good stuff. Contracts, I keep the same. It's a way you can make the contracts come down a little bit more realistic if you want. You can move the minimum to 75 and the max rating to 85, and that'll make the off-season contracts not as high. And we'll just keep it the same from there. We want to trade, so trade, got trade deadline. Recently signed restrictions, which is the 60-day, the 30, 60, 90-day rule. Financial trade rules. So you can just, this is just a different screen with that trade override. And it'll be a little different for if you're doing an online league. It won't have trade override and things of that nature because you'll be with other users online. So moving on to injuries. Now, injuries is really important. Most people don't know that this is how to turn injuries completely off. If you've been playing 2K for a while, you know, if you just turn it off like this, it won't take all the injuries off. You have to do a little workaround here. So leave it on for now. Roster injuries, that's automatically off because I use the most update injury-free roster. So this is what you want to do. You want to turn injury severity down to 0. You want to turn injury duration down to 0. You want to turn career ending injury frequency down to 0. You want to turn wear and tear off. You only can do this when the injury tab is on. So you want to keep it on and turn all these off. And then you want to go over to here. You want to go over to difficulty and turn all these now. CPU injury frequency, user injury frequency, CPU injury effects, you want to turn that to 0, and user injury effects, turn that to 0. And then you can go back and turn injuries completely off. That is the 100% workaround to make sure you get 0 injuries during your season. I've been doing this for 3, 4 years, and this is the workaround. I turn this off, and 99% of the time, you get 0 injuries. You may get one injury, uh, injury bug, or one injury glitch within 3 seasons, but this is my settings for turning injuries completely off. So for those leagues that you join and you in the admin says, "Oh, well, injuries are off. It's just a bug with 2K." You can't turn them completely off. You can turn them completely off, but 99% of the time, this will work, and you will get no injuries through your whole duration of your Myleague. If you're going 3 seasons, 4 seasons, however many seasons you're going, you'll get no injuries. But you have to make sure you turn all of these off. So I'll go through it again. You leave injuries on here, and then you go through and toggle all of these off, and you keep injuries, the main injury tab, you keep that on, and you scroll over to difficulty and scroll all the way down, and you turn CPU injury frequency, user, CPU injury effects, and user all alt 0. Once you do that, you go back to injuries, and you turn that completely off. And then that is how you get 100% or 99%, I'll say, 0 injuries during your Myleague. So moving on, progression. If you want to move up, how players progress, how fast they progress, or how slow they progress, you can do that here. Attribute. So this is saying whether the jump will be high over the off season, how players progress. You can move it up or you can move it down. So for instance, driving layup, you can move it all the way up. All of the players in your league will progress. Well, the younger players will progress. Their driving layup will go up higher. If you move it down, then it'll progress slower. This is the difficulty. I don't mess with that other than turning the injuries frequency off. The rest I keep it. But if you want to mess around with it, you can mess around with it. Simulation, that's for just when you're simulating games. Basically the pace, the fast break, the shots, the steals, how often those happen during simulation. I leave it the same. This is the ticker at the bottom. You can toggle these on or off if you want. This is just a ticker at the bottom, will show you what's happening in your league. And back to the first page. So you can go through that again if you want, rewind it. We're gonna move on here. This is rule changes. I toggled that on so you can go through each one of the rules and change them how you want. The thing that I mess with here is I change the conferences. So I don't want it to be East and West. I want it to be seeding 1 through 16. So with that, you go through this playoff, you go to the playoff tab, and then it says conferences based playoffs with 2 extra teams in a single game series with 2 of the lowest seeds to fill in the bottom bracket. So that's that. And what I want to change here is that, and I want to change it to the top teams across the league are seeded irrespective. You want to change it to this right here. This is what will give you 1 through 16 seeding. So no conferences, 1 through 16, kind of like NCAA or however you want to compare it to. But this last one here, so I'll click that. Rule change, yes. If you want to mess around with other rules, you can. You can mess around with the overtime rules and make it first basket, sudden death type stuff. But I don't mess with any of that. I just mess with the playoffs. So advance there. Then you can pick your team, whatever team you want to pick. You can also select for offline. You can select multiple teams. Online, obviously, select one. And I'll select the Spurs, and then you got your draft. So this is for offline. Online, it'll be a little different, but the main thing in here is the injuries and also turning off the trade stipend rule and the 30, 60, 90 rule. Those are the main 2 things for online leagues because those can break the online league. So that's how you do it. And we're just gonna sim this draft. So remember injuries. Gonna go back to the injury part and see how I did that. That is how you get 99% no injuries throughout however many seasons you go for your Myleague. And then the trades, the stipend rule, and the 60, the 30, 60, 90-day rule. Turn that off. All right, exit draft, and they're taking us to our season. And there it is.